The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour.
ChatGPT did become the world's most downloaded non-gaming app.
Literally the job of everyone in government to address the media and the public.
What are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on Zandy Silva as the deputy PLP leader?
A community that can't feed itself is a community that do.
What you may not know, though, is that Bermuda, we have a connection with Epstein, too.
Things that people are doing right, the youth are doing right, that is not being advertised enough.
When you see your access to U.S. dollars disappear, that's when you have a problem.
If you've got a town in the UK with a similar sized population, this place absolutely outshines it.
It's Thursday, the 16th day of April 2026. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BEDC group of companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamel Hartman. How's everyone feeling today? How's everyone feeling out there? It is, as some say, Friday Junior. It is the day before the end of the traditional work week. You all think I'm joking when I say this, right? But Mondays really are my favorite day of the week because I get to come back to do what I love. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy weekends and enjoy like time off and time down. It doesn't. I honestly, I really do enjoy quiet time and, weekends. But when you enjoy what you do, man, Mondays are not something to fear or dislike. Yeah. So anyway, happy Thursday, Friday Junior. Second last day of the traditional work week, which is Monday through Friday. Hopefully everyone is feeling good out there. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says, good morning, Bermuda from London. Congratulations to Bermudian Mr. Lamone Woods, who was called to the Bar of England and Wales yesterday here in London at the Middle Temple Inn of Court. Big up to Lamone. That's our good buddy. We've done quite a lot of work. Lamone is the owner of Channel 82 in Bermuda, a good brother there. He has produced a lot of work that we've done over the years at Bermuda Communications Group, and I'm proud of him, man. He's got quite a story, and I think I speak for many in the audience, even those who don't know him, when I say congratulations and all the best on your new journey. We've got Suzanne Ingham says, good morning, Jamel. It's a super awesome Thursday. Send to think she thought it was Friday. Man, I'm sorry, Suzanne. I'm happy I told you it's Thursday. We wouldn't want you to show up super excited thinking it's Friday just to find out it's Thursday. I'm joking. I know you go to work excited every day, Suzanne. I know you're one who loves what you do. We've got congrats, Lamone. I think she means Lamone. Respicate for them. He must be a Barclayite, Angeline Butler says. All right, folks. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Sean Stapley on from Penrose. Yeah, we're going to be this is part of the vendor segment brought to you by the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation. And we're going to be discussing how they are helping vendors and small business owners improve their customer experience. Digital wallets. Yeah. So, I've noticed a lot of people, I haven't been doing, let me be clear. I stopped carrying cash about 15 years ago because I just was broke. I didn't have any, so it just made sense. But so many people don't carry cash anymore. So many people. And no matter the size of your business, people are looking for opportunities to make transactions in digital ways and that meet the demands of today. So really looking forward to the conversation with Sean. The Daily Play is a name that place. Now, last week, I thought you all would have got it, right? The question was, What is the only sea without a coastline? And someone got it. I think someone got it. I thought every Bermudian would have got it, but it was the Sargasso Sea. So we've got another tricky one for you today. All right. Got another one. So hang in there with us. But audience, in the meantime, don't forget, if you haven't already, go to our website, thedailyhour.com. Make sure you are subscribed to the website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Well, let's jump into today's discussion. Here are the questions of the morning. Well, first off, Claire Warner says, good morning, everyone, and a good morning to you, Claire Warner. And Suzanne Ingham says, I am super excited to be in TDH, Jamel. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of TDH. No, thank you. Thank you for being a part of TDH crew. All right, folks, let's jump into today's discussion. Question of the morning, what are your thoughts on the lack of diversity across Bermuda's national teams? And the reason we're asking this, it's quite unfortunate, all right? So there's been these discussions throughout social media, and at times they can be very uncomfortable. And it's a conversation about the diversity in swimming. And naturally, the comparison comes up because when you look at football or cricket in Bermuda, those teams are largely represented by Black Bermudian children. And questions start to arise. Is the issue about access, or is it that interest is not just, it's just not there when it comes to swimming? And the honest answer may be a bit more complicated than we think. Because interest doesn't just appear. It's really shaped by what we're exposed to, what's accessible to us, what our friends are doing, and what feels like it belongs to us. Football and cricket are part of the culture. They're in the community. They're visible. Swimming, it often takes early exposure, access to facilities, structured training, and in many cases, money. So before we say the interest isn't there, we really have to ask, was the opportunity there to begin with? There's also another layer to this conversation that we can't ignore. Bermuda itself is changing. We're seeing more Bermudians moving overseas, particularly many to the UK. At the same time, we're seeing more children of expats growing up here coming through systems and representing Bermuda. So the racial makeup of the teams across all sports may naturally shift over time as demographics change. That's not speculation, that's our reality. And then there's part of the conversation that makes it a bit uncomfortable. Because many of us who love sports, like truly love sport, we don't see race. When we're watching our teams, whether it's Manchester United or Bermuda or the LA Lakers, what we see is effort, talent, commitment, and a desire to win. You know, people just want access. They want Bermuda to do well. And that's what makes this conversation both necessary, but also a little sad. Because ideally, sport is one of the few places where identity fades and unity takes over. But at the same time, we can't ignore questions about access and opportunity, especially when they impact who gets to participate in the first place. So the question of the morning, very simple. What are your thoughts on the lack of diversity across Bermuda's national teams? And when we come back, while you give that some thought, we'll also put the poll up. Do you believe diversity in sports is more about access than interest? Stick with us. We'll be back with your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Alrighty, audience, you saw it. The question of the morning is, what are your thoughts on the lack of diversity across Bermuda's national teams? And here's your poll for the morning. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you believe diversity in sports is more about access than interest? Do you believe diversity in sport is more about access than interest? 1 for yes, 2 for no. And I hate to say this, but as I mentioned in my opening, this isn't just about sport. The conversation is bigger than that, because what we see in sport transcends to the workplace and other organizations, boards, and the like. Let's go to the audience and see what you all think. Well, I want to add a few things before I go to the audience. I have written on my whiteboard, when we talk about access, we're talking about, let's use Brazil. Years ago, we used to be shown videos of Brazilian footballers. They couldn't afford football boots or even a football, and they would learn to play the game with rocks in the streets and tins and bottles. That's how they would kick and play. I'll never forget, this was probably 15 years ago, Katora Horton, parent chief. Love her, I really do. And one of the reasons, because she's very honest and direct. She's going to tell you what's on her mind, whether she loves you or you're just some regular person. And we were talking about diving and swimming one day. And my ignorant self, I was like, all these cliffs go to Amity House. And she said, that's not how it works. Like, the look she gave me was like, is he stupid? I'm being real. She was like, no. And she spoke to me about the importance of having a pool where people who have interest in that, and this was when the pool was coming about at National Sports Center, she educated me about access when it came to diving, right? So I want people to understand access is not this made up thing. It's real, right? But let's go to the audience. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says, we Bermudians still self-integrate. Also, we are only drawn to sports we feel we are drawn to. Take sailing, seen as a white sport, but sailing is a part of our DNA, both black and white, okay? We've got Shawnat Sumner says, children gravitate towards what they are exposed to. Parents can expose their children to everything, but if parents don't know, children won't go. Access may be limited for a number of reasons. So let me throw this in. I remember my mom put me in Cub Scouts. I was a Cub Scout. I got teased at my black school for being a Cub Scout. It didn't stop there. Remember when the U.S. base was in Bermuda? So I stopped playing football. I wanted to go play baseball because as a youngster, I was brought to Atlanta and became a big Atlanta Braves fan, David Justice and Fred McGriff. So I ended up getting drafted by the Braves and played baseball down at the base. And I got laughed at because it was not seen as a black sport to some, right? So I appreciate the access and the exposure comment, but we can't ignore the other stuff that I mentioned, the change in demographics, the actual access, like how many people have access to a swimming pool like they would have access to a football. Again, in Bermuda, I used to get a football every Christmas up until like my 10th or 11th birthday. All you needed was, you didn't even need a ball to play. Hence the Brazilian story, right? Folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Again, we're discussing, big conversation on social media right now is about the lack of diversity in Bermuda's national swim team. And, people have saying, well, there's a lack of diversity in the cricket and football teams. Not anymore. And I'm happy. Like when I went to support Bermuda's under-19 national cricket team, I didn't look at the players and say black player, white player. I didn't. I honestly didn't. I looked at, man, these are a good group of young guys representing Bermuda. I did. And again, when I'm supporting, well, I suspended my support, but when I was supporting Manchester United, I didn't look at whether the player was white or black. But I think in this instance, the conversation is valid because I think the sport conversation about access to swimming transcends to other areas in Bermuda. All right, we've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says more access dogged by issues of race, sorry. Ms. Ellen Kate Horton says definitely about more access. Yeah. We've got Shawnette Sumner said, I exposed my son to squash when he was in primary school to burn off some energy. Had no idea he would become the island-wide squash champion for primary school students that year. Wow, that's pretty good. Audience, answer the poll. Let us know. Do you believe diversity in sports is more about access than interest? Yes, press 1. 2, press no. So yes is 1, 2 is no. Do you believe diversity in sport is more about access than interest? Let us know just by pressing 1 for yes, no is 2 for no. All right. But what are your thoughts? Like, do you see, is this even worth a conversation? Now, the person who initially posted this, they were doing so not to cause trouble. They were doing so to highlight that Bahamas, Jamaica, and other CARICOM nations teams had mainly all black people. Now, obviously, our demographics in Bermuda are very different from those countries. But I think the point was, I think, folks, you have to press 1 only and 2 only. I don't think you could put 1 and 2 and then put words for it to catch. So just FYI. But I think that was his point. I think his point was that, is there enough? He was asking a question, is there enough being done to attract a larger demographic of Bermudians into swimming? That was the point. And I think the conversation is necessary. It's worthy. And I don't think he was disrespecting the swimmers nor the coach. I don't think that was not the intent of the person who brought it to light. But obviously, we love to attack people when they ask questions. We love to go against people when we feel like they're challenging something. I don't think he was going at the swimmers. I think all of us want the swimmers to do well. Look, we had Dame Flora Duffy on this week. It didn't matter to people whether she was black or white when she was winning gold for the country. And that's what I mean. At the end of the day, most of us support what we support because we have a commonality, which is we want people that we like to win, or the team, or the club, or the country. I'm real with you. I do not care. Now, there are some moral things that come into play. There's some morality, like moral, yes, your morals have to align. But as far as what you look like, what you represent in terms of, your, I don't even care about political views unless your political views are literally out to cause harm. But I don't think we can ignore this conversation. I really don't think we should ignore this conversation because I do think it transcends to other areas in Bermuda that should be taken seriously. Again, question of the morning, audience, is what are your thoughts on the lack of diversity across Bermuda's national teams, right? There was a picture of the swim team that represented Bermuda recently where a commenter noticed that there were no black children. Another picture was shown where it showed only black children represented in the track team. Thankfully, we're seeing more diversity amongst cricket and football, but a lot of people are putting that down to the change in demographics, more Bermudians leaving and their children not being here to represent Bermuda. Then the big one is people speaking about access. All right, answer the poll. If you haven't, answer the poll. Do you believe diversity in sports is more about access than interest? And some people think, oh, it's about a lack of interest and exposure. Some people think it's more about access. What are your thoughts on the lack of diversity across Bermuda's national teams? This is your daily discussion brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Richard Scott says, the representation of the diversity could be impacted by the mindset of the coach/team selectors as well. The mindset could be limited to experience. This is very true. And as has been shared with me, some coaches in different jurisdictions don't believe that Black people in particular have the bodies, right, for swimming. Now, this is not me making something up. This is what has been shared. I don't know the facts or science behind that. I'm just being told what's come across, the desk of some. Charles H. Jeffers II says, in my opinion, if those who run a sport want diversity in their sport, they must be intentional about recruiting other races and remove any potential barriers. But they must first want that diversity. Fair enough, Charles. Richard Scott also says, could the two be connected in the sense that access could encourage interest and could interest encourage access? I think they are. I absolutely think they are, Richard. I do. I do think they are connected. We've got Shawnette Sumner says, oftentimes Black children are disadvantaged due to lack of funds for high-priced memberships and supplies and lack of transportation and sports of options of people who can take them to and from. I want to say something because this speaks to something. The world's game that Brazil, Uruguay, South American countries at one point dominated, right? It's football. Football in the United States of America. You know why it hasn't really transcended to success in the men's game? And I'm gonna stick to the men's game because the women's game, so you cannot compare women's football and men's football. Let me just say that. You can't, because for one, the United States is ahead of the curve when it comes to inclusion of women. Let's put that there. I think if the US put money behind a women's cricket team, they'll be the best in the world. And they have no interest in cricket. There's not enough countries with women's national teams to compare the men and women. Over 200 countries have actual women's teams. Let's be very clear about this. So there's no comparison. So I'm sticking to men's football when I speak about football. All right. But with football, to go back to this about access, do you know why the US has not been dominant despite the investment in football in this country, or soccer as they call it? Because it's seen as a middle to upper class sport. It's about, like, in this country, travel teams are what take you far. Now, if it was easily accessible, the amount of immigrants in this country, right? Like the Mexicans and so on that come over, the US could be dominant, but they have to remove the barriers and allow for access. They've turned it into a soccer mom thing, this phenomenon. Like it's an outing. If they want to be successful, they have to allow access. People complain about the French team, which has been probably the most dominant over recent times, right? The French team is full of immigrants. Let's get back to the conversation. We've got Gilbert, who is the person responsible for bringing this to attention on social media, says, I appreciate this conversation and you are correct. My post was about the fact that the Federation does not do enough to promote the sport of swimming outside of the circle of those, the executive, I think he means the executive. Okay. Shawnette Sumner says, I fully agree with Charles. However, when some demographics immediately fill the spots, there's no room for anybody else. Oh, that's where that DEI stuff comes in, right? Ms. Ellen Kate Horton says, there were whites in the track team, but only whites on the swim team. Yeah. But I think the picture showed dominated by Black people in the track team. We've got pay to play. Yes, that's the American. I think he's referring to American soccer. We've got Renee Simmons says, Bermuda diversity in sports is more racially divided depending on the sports, but it's changing a bit. The only football teams I see more whites is FC Bascom and BAA, so it's mainly choices. Okay. Additionally, Gilbert says, my post did not come out of the blue. This has been a long-term trend. I had the parent of a black swimmer was told he was backing away due to a clear lack of diversity. And we got Renee Sharlin says, likewise, most whites prefer swimming rather than blacks. Anika DeShield says, it depends on what you are exposed to. In Bermuda, our sports focus is primarily football and cricket. We need to be more well-rounded. This is a conversation that I think, again, I think it's necessary. I think it's important. I think one of the things I hope that people have taken from this, which I took from it, and, you know, I don't think there are any uncomfortable conversations. I don't. This is why I do what I do for a living. I don't think there are any uncomfortable conversations. Conversations only become uncomfortable when people, in my opinion, are afraid or uneasy about discussing truth. That said, I think this conversation highlights a broader problem in Bermuda, that we cannot, as adults, have conversations from differing sides without attacking one another, without trying to understand one another, and without actually digesting information that could actually challenge our truth. At the end of the day, I think this conversation, as I mentioned, this is just not about sport. This is about a change in demographic. This transcends to the workplace. This conversation shouldn't be about exclusion. It should be about representation. And what representation speaks to or says about the broader Bermuda. Whether it's the workspace, whether it's the boards, the executives, because it's almost, and I hate to say this, it's like comparing the prison population and the boards. You see where I'm going with this? Folks, it's an important conversation. I'll go through these final three comments and then we'll do the days of the year, go to commercial break, and we've got a very special guest in today, Sean Stapley. We're talking, I just love conversations like this. We're going to help solve some problems, not just for small business owners, but also us, the customers. Sean at Sumner says, DEI, yes, just like private schools hold a certain number of spots for incoming foreign students, the predominantly white sports should hold a certain number of spots for black children. Well, I'm not a fan of DEI. I've said that. I don't think DEI solves problems. I don't. Never been a fan of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So no, I would actually disagree. I don't think that they should hold a spot. That's not what access looks like. I don't think that we should eliminate people who could actually be better than someone. I don't personally, for me, I don't want anyone to hire me or work with me simply because I'm black. I don't. I think I'm talented enough. I'm good enough. I just need to ensure that the law allows me and equity and opportunity to have the same access and opportunities. That's all. But I don't need you to give me anything because I'm black. Now, I understand how DEI has helped and benefited some. And I believe that people can feel that it's great. That's fine. I don't have a problem with you thinking DEI is great and it works. I don't think it works. I'm not a fan of it. And I don't want, for me, I don't want any trinkets or any, thing because I'm a black person by nature, I guess. Richard Scott says, I believe if blacks had swimming pools in their backyards, there would be more black swimmers. Yeah, fair. Charles H. Jeffs II says, I appreciate what the sailing community in Bermuda is doing by reaching out to schools to expose young people of all demographics to the sport of sailing. And we'll end with this. Bermuda horse trainer, diversity is important, but remember to specialize in the sport that is your real talent to become world class. All right, folks, let's do the days of let's give some thanks to Titan Express and Secure, and then we'll do days of the year. Then we'll go to commercial break, bring on a very special guest, Sean Stapley. You want to be a part of this conversation because this conversation is as much about helping small businesses as it is your experience. And let's be honest, some of you all still prefer to carry cash, right?
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Titan Express delivers safe, professional, and reliable transportation and tours across the island. From island tours to cultural experiences, they set the standard. And Secure is your go-to for property management, waste management, and residential and commercial services. Visit securebda.com. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is their commitment to you.
All righty. Well, let's do the days of the year, folks, real quickly. So today it's, wait for it, it's World Voice Day. Yeah. Did you know that there's a special day that celebrates the power of your voice? World Voice Day shines a spotlight on the incredible role our voices play in daily life. Whether you're chatting with friends, singing in the shower, or giving a presentation, your voice helps you connect and express. Now, just a bit of history about World Voice Day. World Voice Day began in Brazil in 1999. Doctors, speech experts, and singing teachers from the Brazilian Society of Laryngology and Voice joined forces to create a national day focused on vocal health. Their goal was to raise awareness about the importance of taking care of one's voice. The initiative quickly gained attention beyond Brazil. Countries like Argentina and Portugal embraced the idea, turning it into an international event. All right, so I want to ask a question, and feel free to share. Who or has one of the most important voices to you in the world? Who is one of the most important voices to you in the world? Who's a voice that you love, that you feel is the most important in your community and the world? For me, let's see. Of all time, I think one of the most important voices we've had is Marcus Garvey. He used his voice to push a narrative of do for self. Bob Marley, I think Bob Marley, his voice, it wasn't just about singing, it was the messaging in his voice. So I think those two stand out to me as far as voices. Who for you, audience? Who was name of voice for you? We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson says MLK. That's Martin Luther King. Who are some of the most influential and important voices in the world to you? Name some. Who comes to mind for you? I said, how could I not say the Honorable Mia Amour Motley is an awesome true spokesperson, says Renee Charlin. She's probably my favorite world leader right now. I absolutely love her. Who else, audience? Who's a voice? Who's someone that you, their voice matters so much where you just, when they speak, you literally stop everything you're doing and you listen. We've got Stacey Ann Brown, says Nelson Mandela. All right, folks, we're going to take our break. Got a very special guest coming up, Sean Stapley. We're going to be discussing how Penrose is helping vendors and small business owners, but also the customer experience. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back after this short break.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
What lasts isn't what you buy, but what it becomes. With the HSBC MasterCard credit card, every spend quietly adds to a story shaped by intention and offers what matters most. Support that meets you where you are. Protection that preserves what you choose. Confidence for the unexpected. Peace of mind wherever your story leads. Start your next chapter. Use your card today. HSBC is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
What if the age that really matters isn't the one on your ID? You probably know your chronological age, the number of candles on your last birthday cake. But there's another kind of age that may be even more important, your biological age. This reflects how old your body truly is at the cellular level. It is influenced by your genes, your environment, and the choices you make every day. Two people can both be 40 years old on paper, but one may have the body of a healthy 30-year-old, while the other is biologically closer to 50. The difference? Lifestyle choices on nutrition, sleep, stress, exercise, and exposure to toxins. That means you have some control over your biological clock, and that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Because when it comes to aging, it's not just about living longer, it's about living better. Want to know your predicted biological age today? Download the free Carry Genetics app and fill in the lifestyle questionnaire.
You wanna come get some? Playing around.
Alrighty, welcome back to the Big Show. Jamel Hartman here. This is the Daily Hour brought to you by the BEDC Group of Companies, HSBC, Bermuda Medical House, Linda's People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airways with these most important community conversations. Folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. Let's get to it. We've got a very special guest and audience. Let's go with real quickly before we do that. Shawnette Sumner said voice, as far as voice in modern times, Don Lemon. And we got Lydia Simmons says Stokely Carmichael. All righty. Well, let's give a warm TDH welcome. Very special guest today. We've got Sean Stapley coming on. This is a segment brought to you by BEDC, vendor segment. And we're going to be talking, Sean's from Penrose, about how they're helping vendors and small business owners improve the customer experience, digital wallets. Yeah. And I did see some of you did say you prefer cash to digital or card. We're going to talk about, how things are evolving, and preferring cash is great. I get it, but this may make life easier. Let's give a warm TDH welcome to Sean Stapley. Greetings, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Jamel. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
No problem. Thanks for coming. I got to ask you, though, because we just had a Days of the Year as World Voice Day. Who's your favorite voice in the world?
Oh, that is it. That is a good question. I mean, I'm going to have to go with Jamel Hartman at this point, right? I'm listening to the daily. Listening to this morning has got me all hyped up and excited. So I'm going to give you a shout out. This is a fantastic show that you run here. So really appreciate this.
Thank you. Suzanne Ingham in the audience, she always says Jamel Hartman. But no, thank you for that. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for your patience. The conversation went a bit longer, but we appreciate you. I am excited about this conversation, both as a vendor myself and as a customer. But before we even jump into that, just can you give the audience a bit about your background, what it is you do, and just tell them a bit about Penrose as well?
Of course, happy to. So pleasure to see you. I'm Sean Stapley, born and raised right here in Bermuda. I'm one of the partners at Penrose, a digital finance consultancy that advises and educates governments and institutions on digital asset technologies. So our work supports the growth of not only the digital payments ecosystem here on the island, but also internationally. And I think importantly to that, we really hope that this work will continue to attract more digital finance companies to Bermuda, which can obviously mean then more jobs and more opportunities for Bermudians. And so obviously, as all of us are aware, Bermuda's punched above its weight in financial services for many decades. We're a global leader in the reinsurance space, and especially with more firms like Coinbase and Circle working on the island, we want to make sure that the work now continues Bermuda to lead as a digital finance jurisdiction and intersects more and more positively with the daily lives of Bermudians. But it's a pleasure to be here. We've been doing this now for quite a few years, and we've seen some phenomenal progress with being able to integrate with local businesses and help them get up and running.
Indeed. For vendors, small business owners, but also customers who may not be familiar, speak about what the digital wallet onboarding sessions are all about.
Of course, happy to do so. So these sessions are all leading up to the Bermuda Digital Finance Forum, which is going to take place May 11th to 14th in Hamilton. And so the forum is a 4-day long event that brings together not only the leading digital finance voices from around the world, it's connecting directly with Bermudian businesses and citizens. And so this is the 7th year now that Penrose has been running this annual conference. And our goal is to provide an opportunity for Bermudians to actually learn how to use these digital technologies in a hands-on and practical way. The goal really here being to explore how they could strengthen Bermuda's economy. And so put simply, digital payments are simpler, faster, and cheaper. And right now in Bermuda, every single time a credit card transaction is made, a business is charged about 4 to 5%. And so with digital payments, this can be reduced to almost zero. And so that means more money in the pockets of Bermudian businesses, more money invested back into our community. And so all of this leads to, we'll be hosting a digital payments workshop and market on Thursday, May 14th, where we'll have up to 500 attendees to have the chance to engage in a Harbor Night style market. We're going to have up to 35 local vendors at Pier 6, and we'll only be using digital dollars to transact. And so on arrival, each and every attendee on May 14th is going to receive 100 digital dollars to spend with local vendors. And last year, for example, we had Ashley's Lemonade, we had Buzz, Bacardi, and many more. And so the goal here is to drive a live demonstration of the tech in action to actually help folks get more confident with using these. And so, as you raised in the introduction, we are very proud to partner with local organizations, including the BEDC, to make this event very accessible and to provide tickets out for free to the Bermudian community.
I want to ask the audience real quickly. Audience, when you go to pay for, to local vendors and the like, when you go out shopping, are you more likely to use cash or credit card? Audience, let us know. I'm gonna while we're continuing the conversation, just send your answers in. I want to get a gauge of our audience. Do you use cash or digital payments when you go shopping? Sean, we're seeing a shift, right, toward a cashless economy. I want to share something with you. When I was in school in Huntsville, Alabama, we're talking 25 years ago, my grandmother, who turned 90-something this week, 91 or 92, she was quite upset when we went to Walmart one day because she was used to giving her card to them and them swiping it and doing it. And now it was this system then where you had to do everything yourself. And that was my first time seeing how technology impacted people and, outers in the community. But explain from a business side and then a customer side why it's so important for small businesses in Bermuda to adapt to digital payments now, but also to educate the customer along the way.
Of course, I'd say maybe first and foremost, I want to emphasize that it's an option for businesses. It's not going to be a requirement. So just as businesses once went along from learning to shift from cash to credit cards, the goal here is not to just completely eliminate this. It's to make it as an option that can help businesses and break down those barriers. So I'd say merely the first and foremost, most important thing is that the digital payments themselves actually reduce the transaction fees. And so that is the money staying in the pockets of business owners rather than going overseas to payment processors. And so as your audience will likely know, we've been unable to access platforms like Venmo, PayPal, and others on island. And so it's our chance to engage with these technologies that directly benefit us. And so obviously in this light, I think it's important to understand where things could go, to be informed, to understand. And that's the goal of the digital finance market here, is to help folks come along, understand and engage with the technology and ensure that it's actually something they can embrace rather than worry about, right? And I think the other piece of that is it's important for us to adapt now because Bermuda is internationally recognized as a leader in digital finance. And so it puts us more and more in a strong position to benefit from these innovations by having these companies here. And I think the knock-on impact of that is obviously more Bermudians can then get hired into these firms. And then it's much more of a, the momentum builds and more businesses can embrace this, right? Same way of, it's just a habit for us now to go in and use our credit cards. We don't think about these things. We want to make it as easy as that for Bermudian businesses to save money and for Bermudians to use the technologies day to day.
Yeah, I've noticed even like some business. I went to a business the other day in Atlanta, and I'm gonna like just quote here. Ramon Smith says, "Digital most places in Atlanta, especially at the airport, are cashless, but some of them will say that there's going to be a 3% charge on, if you're using a card and the like." So I know some people are hesitant because of that. But I did ask the audience how many people use card versus cash. We've got Mark Arthur says card. Stacey Ann Brown says both. We've got 98% card/digital. Michelle Grant. Card says Nicole Walker. Sherilyn Johnson says card. Renee Sherlin says, I don't carry cash, so always debit or credit card unless I know I need cash. We've got card, says Karen Simmons. And Suzanne Ingham, says, mostly my card, but I prefer cash. I just can't always get to the ATM to get cash. It's a nuisance not getting to the machine. But moving along, speak to the challenges that some vendors may face when trying to adopt digital payment systems.
Of course, I think honestly, one of the biggest barriers is simply awareness. I don't think many business owners may know that they can actually get set up today, and that once they're set up, they immediately start saving money. This isn't something that happens down the road. It's on every single transaction, the business will now eliminate those credit card processing fees. And so I think exactly what your viewers here are saying is, you want to have the benefits of having cash in your pocket ready to go, and there's no transaction fees for paying in cash. But you want the convenience of using a credit card transaction anywhere in the world. And that's what digital payments do, is blending the benefits of both sides to make it easier for everyone to use. And so I think, the thing to remember here is this is an option. It's not a replacement. So businesses don't need to suddenly stop accepting cash or credit cards, but it's a new avenue that adds savings to them. And so once again, I think for those interested in joining, we do welcome everyone to come out on May 14th at Pier 6. And to be able to come in and learn about what's going on and use the technology to understand how it can be seamless and how it can also save businesses money. Because I think not all of us think about this in terms of the knock-on impacts of the business. We charge our card, it just goes through. We don't think about the fees involved, but every single time, that's money out of the pocket of Bermudian businesses.
Yeah. Let's go back to the onboarding sessions. Can you explain how the onboarding sessions actually help? Like, what can participants expect to learn and walk away with? Can you go a bit deeper on that?
Absolutely. And so I think for vendors, the answer is simple. They're going to walk away ready to accept digital payments. They'll have a dedicated point of sale set up for this. They'll be confident in saving money right from day one. But for the attendees, the chance really is to experience the technology firsthand. And so we are going to be, once the attendees arrive at Pier 6, every single attendee will receive $100 in digital dollars to then go and spend at the local vendors. So everyone arrives, we get them set up. We'll be doing an educational onboarding session. We'll make sure everyone feels comfortable with using the technology. And then everyone can head on over to the vendor market, whereupon you'll actually get to experience paying for Ashley's Lemonade in digital dollars. And that'll just be a $5 payment becomes $5 in Ashley's pocket. And that's the way we want to think about this is it's removing the middlemen. It's removing these intermediaries. It's allowing for these peer-to-peer transactions and for businesses to adopt this in a way that saves them money, makes it simpler for Bermudians, and additionally helps us prepare for an innovative future like so.
Got it. Audience, if you have any questions or comments, send them through. We'll get through as many as possible. We've got a question from Karen Simmons. It says, excuse my potential misunderstanding, but when you are speaking about digital payments, is this for credit cards only for credit cards?
That's a great question, Karen. So when I refer to digital payments, what we're referring to here is about the use of stablecoins and the use of these as a digital payment being used using blockchain technology. Now, you don't need to worry about what's happening in the back end. The goal here is for it being a peer-to-peer transaction without needing credit cards. So for example, if I'm going to pay you, Jamel, then I need to send you $20 for coffee this week. I'm able to send that from you to me with zero fees involved whatsoever. $20 leaves me, $20 arrives to you. And that's not the case right now with a credit card payment. Not only are you not set up to take credit cards off the bat, it also means that there's going to be money leaving our pockets rather than just going directly between us. So when we refer to digital payments, it's moving beyond just the credit card fees. It's about being a seamless economy that allows for Bermudians to embrace this in a way that they haven't been able to in years past.
Yeah, I second Charles H. Jeffs II. He says, card. I've noticed stores in the U.S. moving towards accepting Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, or Venmo to avoid or reduce fees. I wish Bermuda had a Cash App or Zelle-like option. Like Zelle is my go-to. Like I actually do pay people in the U.S. in Zelle. I've never used Cash App or the others. But can you, for people who don't know what Zelle, PayPal, Cash App, Venmo are, can you just give an explanation as to what it is and how it would help them?
Of course. So I think with something like a Cash App, we're used to having, I could have at Sean Stapley as my Cash App username, right? And so overseas, if I'm going to go and pay a friend in the US, I could just select their username and send them the money, right? And we're missing that in Bermuda. But the piece I think moving beyond the Cash Apps and Zelles is that all of these are great ones. They're still incorporating fees for the businesses themselves. So the Cash App payments, still there's fees leaving that. And it means that it's money moving away from Bermudians. So when we look at some of the ways that we can embrace this digital payments technology and using these stable coins, it allows for us to transact in a direct manner, keeping money on the island, making it settle almost instantly, and with near zero transaction costs. So again, instead of there being fees for credit card transactions at 4 to 5%, or whatever fees that Cash App and Zelle and others may charge, this is an avenue through using these wallets which allows for it to just save Bermudians money, both the users and the businesses.
I think the challenge in Bermuda is like you have MRC said that we cannot use Apple Pay locally because local card doesn't allow it to be added to digital Apple Wallet. Swipe with iPhone would be great locally. Can you speak to the challenges and why what you're speaking about is actually more beneficial, as you just did?
Absolutely. And so I think just it's due to the local ecosystem here that, the banks have not been able to enable this. We don't have Apple Pay or Google Pay or many of these other innovations here. I think that the challenges of this is, once again, going back to your last question, what are the things that people aren't aware of? Well, you can get started today, right? As of today, I can open up a new wallet, get myself set up. I could set up my business to accept digital dollars today. And that's the thing I want to stress here is that this isn't a far off technology about trying this now and hoping that it saves you money. Each and every transaction that occurs using digital dollars is immediately saving the business money, and that ends up in their pockets. And again, looking at somewhere around 4 to 5% or higher with credit card transaction fees in Bermuda, that means that over the course of a year, if you're doing $100,000 as a small business, that's $4,000 to $5,000 that you can reinvest back into the growth of your business.
We've got Stacey Ann Brown asking, what are the benefits to these digital currency companies if there are no fees?
Yeah, so great question, Stacey. And so, the benefits themselves for the companies themselves, they can run their own business model. They run exchanges where you can go on and trade these assets. They make their money on trading fees separately. So I want to stress that it's very different from the technologies that we're using. These wallets themselves are provided as a way to get folks up and running using digital dollars and payments. And that's the reason that there are no fees for the transactions themselves. It's built in a way that is meant to encourage the use of these technologies. And if you so decide to then go on and save, invest, and trade in all of this further down the line, there may be fees associated at that point. But the point of it is that for the day-to-day transactions and for these businesses that we're setting up on May 14th, there will be zero fees. And that's the key piece, is that there's no need to worry about all of the transaction costs, the setup, all of this. We're working to help the vendors become educated and informed about the benefits, and of course, to address any of the questions they may have along the way.
Gotcha. Excuse me. For vendors who may be hesitant or unsure about making this switch, what would you say to encourage them to take that first step?
Of course, I think number one is to remember it's an option for you. It's not a mandatory requirement. And so just as businesses once had to learn, as you mentioned, how to adapt from cash to credit cards, Penrose here is around to help break down those same barriers for digital payments and to make it as easy as possible. So for those that are hesitant, I would say, number one, come along on May 14th, experience this firsthand as a user of the technology, and let it speak for itself. So you can apply for free tickets on PTIX and just come along, receive $100 in digital dollars direct to your wallet, free of charge. There's no cost there. And it allows you to then go to Ashley's Lemonade or other vendors and spend it to see just how seamless it is. It will feel like using a credit card transaction, just in terms of tap to pay, but it means that the business doesn't have to have costs on the back end. So it's the same benefits of being able to hold cash in your wallet with the experience and ease of using credit cards. That's really what we found here with digital payments is it allows us to have this blend of the best of both worlds in a way that can continue to give back to Bermuda.
We've got a question from the audience. Philip Trott's asking, how much is the workshop?
So Philip, the workshop is available for free. So on May 14th, you can find all of our tickets on ptex.bm. And essentially for those who would like to purchase a ticket, it would be $100. But through our partnership with groups like the BEDC, for those who would like to apply for a free ticket, you can fill out a form on there. And we do have an allotment of ones that will be given out to the community entirely for free. We want to make sure this is as accessible as possible. So there will be zero charge for those that wish to join.
We've got Shawnette Sumner asking, how can we put our local credit cards on our phones?
So Shawnette, that's a great question. I think that's the issue is that in Bermuda, we often can't. I can't put my credit card onto my phone and be able to more easily use Google Pay or Apple Pay. That's where these digital payments can come in. By having these digital wallets on your phone, there's no need to link your credit card. It can simply be existing as an app there with the same tap to pay functions that you know well. So we're trying to remove the need to use credit cards on your phone and instead work in a way that benefits not only yourselves, but the businesses receiving those transactions as well.
Alrighty. We've got Kristen Souza says, this is very exciting for e-commerce in Bermuda. Well done, BDC. We've got Winston says, how do I convert this back to Bermuda dollars in order for me to get more supplies to sell?
Great question, Winston. And so for those that are interested in then converting back, it is entirely possible through Bermuda's ecosystem. So for all of the merchants that we will be onboarding for May 14th, after the conference, if they so choose and they don't want to hold this in digital dollars, then they're able to then convert that back and receive it in their bank accounts following the conference. So the great thing here is there's no need to be stuck in holding digital dollars. You can very easily shift it back and pay your bills like that. Now, obviously, our hope is that the more people that start using these technologies, the more people using digital payments, there's less of a need for us to convert back into the bank accounts. It can just be, okay, if my suppliers are willing to take digital dollars, now you've got another avenue you can continue to use these. And that's what we want to see is more and more businesses accepting this technology. So there's more places for Bermudians to spend their digital dollars at.
Awesome, Sean. Awesome. We've got Michael Daniels asking, what are the security considerations?
Once again, great questions from your audience, Jamal. So Michael, happy to dive in with the security considerations. We work explicitly here with the regulated entities out of Bermuda. All of the wallets here are working, at institutional grade security. These have been tested over many years of use. And the goal is to make sure we only work with the trusted technology that has already been battle tested out over the last decade. And so for us, these wallets have proven themselves last year at the Digital Finance Forum 2025, where we actually were able to give away $100 to every attendee there and then perform this same activation. Now this year, we're scaling up. So we're going more vendors, more participants, and more ways for Bermudians to interact with this in a manner that helps save them money. So from the security side, it's a great question, but that's the way is we've chosen these partners based on the fact that they're comfortable and that it's proven technology.
All right. This audience loves you. They have a lot of questions. Real quickly, Charles H. Jefferson says, I'm confused. Cash App and Zelle don't have charge to send or receive money. With Cash App, there is a fee if you want your money in your account immediately. With Zelle, there are no fees, he said. And then he goes on to say, Butterfield allows you to add their cards in Google Play. Did you want to speak to that?
Oh, that's good to know about using. I don't personally bank with Butterfield. That's wonderful to see that they're embracing these innovations. I think with respect to these other companies and the different ways that there may be fees associated, I think the clarity there is all of these are the companies. They may choose to add or remove the fees here. That's their choice. That's their business model. The goal here is that with digital payments, there's no cost to the user or to the business. The transaction goes through. $5 leaves me. $5 hits your account. And that's the key thing is that all of these technologies are available today in Bermuda rather than worrying about what might be available overseas. This is something that Bermudian businesses can get onboarded with as of now.
All right. A couple more questions from the audience. WKD Llama's asking, is there a local company backing the coin like how the Reserve backs the US dollar?
That's a great question as well. So the coin that we're using is the USDC. It is backed 1-to-1 with US dollars. So for every digital dollar that exists, it's done with a company called Circle. Every single digital dollar that exists in your wallet is backed by $1 in a bank account and confirmed and regulated. So it means that if you do want to change back from using digital dollars into your bank account, you're absolutely able to do that with no problems. So it's meant to be 1-to-1, never have to worry about volatility, and always have that access to convert if you choose to do so.
Alrighty. We've got Michelle Grant. See, they're signing up already. She says on the form on PTX, it mentions airdrop. Will there be an alternative at the event or airdrop only?
It's a good question. So the airdrop it's referring to is actually the act of giving those dollars. So for those of you that may have been able to join us at last year's event, we put a QR code up on screen. Everyone was able to scan with their phones, and then $100 landed in their wallets. That's what we're referring to when we say the airdrop. So for those that, myself using Samsung, I don't have iPhone technology, and doing airdrop, it's different. This is just a way for you to receive the dollars, so everyone will be able to participate. And on site, we will have many folks that are going to be there from the tech staff, ready to help ensure that everyone can get access to this technology. So please feel free to sign up, Michelle. We would love to have you there, and I'll make sure personally that I can get you up and running.
All right. I know you got to go. We don't want to hold you too long, but two more questions. Karen Simmons says, are there any other perks to digital payments like travel miles? I've heard that people use a certain credit card to make all their payments to earn travel credits.
Perks. I think it's once again, Karen coming in with some great questions in this episode, Jamal. So great question, Karen. I think when it comes to this, the perk here is really about saving the money, right? So every time credit card transactions go through, and let's call it a 4 to 5% charge, some of that may go back as benefits to the consumer, right? So you may end up getting 1 to 2% cash back and things like this, but that's all coming directly out of the business's pockets. So every time that we receive these benefits, it's being paid for by Bermudian businesses. So the goal here is to remove these card fees entirely, and that means more money being kept in your pocket and more money for the business themselves. So the perk is being able to actually save money on each and every transaction here.
Alrighty. And final question from the audience. We've got Dr. Anthony Richardson. Are you regulated as a banking institution by the BMA?
Great question, Anthony. So from our side, the companies that we work with are regulated directly under the BMA. So we'll be using the USDC, as I mentioned, with Circle, who are regulated locally, and additionally with the Coinbase ecosystem, who are also regulated under the BMA. So yes, we only work with the regulated companies here, as we have full trust in the BMA and their regulatory guidelines.
Awesome, Sean. Sean, before you head out, just remind people of how they can register for the event, when it takes place, and any other details you think they need to know.
Absolutely. So you can access all of this information on ptix.bm. You'll be able to look up the Digital Finance Workshop, and we'd love to see you there. We'd love to have everyone come out and join, come and learn, use the technology, get comfortable with it. And as mentioned before, thanks to the great work that the BEDC have done, we are excited to partner with them in order to drive more Bermudians to the conference. So for those that would like to apply for a free ticket, we don't want money to be any issue for Bermudians being able to access this. You can find everything on ptix.bm, and all of this will allow for us to make sure that you can come along May 14th, get those digital dollars in your wallet, and then spend with our local vendors, keeping money in Bermuda for Bermudians.
All righty, Sean Stapley, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all of the information. We appreciate it having you, and all the best with the event.
Amazing. Thank you, Jamel. We'll hope to see you there.
All righty. Sean Stapley, Penrose, folks, that was your vendor conversation brought to you by the BDC. Man, you all had a lot of questions this morning. Woo, that was good. That was good. I use Zelle, folks. I've used Zelle. I believe Zelle, there's no fees, but I always say we're getting fees somewhere. And I think the fee is like, banks charge you for having a savings account nowadays. So they charge you. They find a way to charge you with that. But I love using Zelle. Like, I've supported vendors. Like I would go to Last year on Juneteenth, I went to our vendors event in Marietta, Georgia, and I was able to pay Zelle. Like, it was just easy. People, they give you their number and or whatever it is, and you just send the money. It's seamless. It's seamless. Digital is life to me because I've never been a person who's carried cash. So it's life to me. All right, folks, let's take a quick break. We'll come back after this. Don't let yourselves down with this daily play question. Don't let yourselves down. Okay, I didn't know the answer either. We'll be right back. 2 minutes 16.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BEDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BEDC, Bermuda Business starts here.
Bermuda, there's nothing like a home-cooked meal, especially when you can feed the whole family without stretching your wallet. With the affordable Bermuda basket, you'll find savings on everyday staples like rice, chicken, corn, and more. Everything you need to make a good meal for less. Shop the Bermuda basket at Lindo's, Marketplace, the Garden Market, and the English Market. Visit costofliving.gov.bm to see the full list of goods and start planning your meals. This is a message from the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Life moves fast, and so can the unexpected. When you insure your home, you need to know that your insurance company has your back. At Friesenbrook, let one of our friendly and professional agents give you that peace of mind. Because when you are covered, you are confident. Call us at 296-3600 or visit friesenbrook.bm to learn more.
All righty, welcome back to the Big Show. Thanks again to the BDC for ensuring we can have these vendor segments, and of course to Sean Stapley from Penrose for that conversation. But also, I'm most grateful to you, the audience. You all, the way you engage, the way you ask. This show was created for days like this, where you have questions and you have the experts here to answer your questions. So thank you for being engaged and asking the questions that you ask. We appreciate all that you do. And if you haven't already, audience, and you're streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, or Instagram, please do us a favor, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC, Bermuda, Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and a big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio areas with these most important community conversations, folks. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, it is a Name That Place. All right, here we go. Here's the question. What is the only capital city in the world that is located on 2 continents? It is not Moscow, Dr. Anthony Richardson, but Michelle Grant, WKD Lama, Stacey Ann Brown, and Nicole Walker. It certainly is Istanbul. That is in Turkey. I watch football, and I noticed that the last World Cup, it was not referred to as Turkey anymore. It was referred to as Turkey. kind of like Czech Republic, they say Czechia now. So Turkey is Istanbul is in Turkey. I don't know, just random fact. Anyway, let's wrap it up, folks. Do me that favor, because some of you just don't like to, help a brother out. Make sure you like, love, follow, share the link with your friends, family, colleagues. Just do us that favor. It costs you nothing. But let's wrap it up. As far as the discussion this morning, it's bigger than sport. It's about representation. Diversity is more than optics as well. When I say I disagree with DEI, I'm saying I disagree with just putting people in places for optics, because that's what happens. And when that happens, you end up putting the wrong people in place. And those people then ruin it for others. That's what I mean when I say I have a problem with DEI. We do have an issue as far as representation in Bermuda, but we also don't know how to confront it. And until we mature as a people to be able to have tough conversations on race and gender and demographics overall, there's going to be continued bickering. Problem is, despite facts, there are people who will still say that how people feel about race is based on their opinions and feelings. Facts will show that's not true. Reality will show that's not true. I'm going to be real with you. As long as you are a good human being representing Bermuda, I'm going to cheer to the top of my lungs for you. If you represent a team and are in good standing in the community and don't cause harm to others, I'm going to cheer you on. And that's what I think it should be. But despite that, we cannot ignore the fact that people in our community don't have access and opportunities like others. That's not just in sport. That's in the workplace. That's on boards. It's throughout our community. As far as the conversation with Sean Stapley, I greatly appreciate the BEDC for ensuring we can have these conversations with you, because we learn so much. And the opportunity to learn more with this event that they're doing. I don't understand digital finance stuff. I love using Zelle because it's just so convenient. I do not carry cash, but I always try to have about $10 on me. But that said, I went to a parking lot and it was valet only. So I didn't have cash. And the gentleman said, "Oh, you can just, do you have Cash App?" I said, "Nope." "Do you have Venmo?" I said, "Nope." "Do you have Zelle?" I said, "Yup." Because I was about to be 3 strikes and out. The point I'm making is, I'm happy to see that Bermuda is moving towards this space. And I know technology can be scary. I told you all, I'm a latecomer to many things, ride share and everything. But if it works, let's get on it. Let's get on it. Real quickly, Manuela says, DEI, other than race, DEI benefits disabled. Yeah, DEI is also when you're at the airport waiting and they say, "Military members, please ride." We don't talk about that, but you're absolutely correct. It represents so many more people, but it's always tied down to race and gender. I pushed that when I was in Florida. I would say, "But what about the disabled people?" Why? Because it was more politically expedient to mention race and gender. Charles, thank you for that. I didn't share 2 continents that Istanbul is in is Europe and Asia. Thank you for those. I should have finished that thought. All right, folks, we've got to get out of here. Let me give you a daily inspiration. And again, book signing in May. So make sure you come out. Make sure your calendar is clear. This is from The Journey Within, Affirmations and Quotes, Jamal Hartman. And I'm going to give you this quote for the day. Don't be the fish that has access to an entire river, but would prefer living in a fish tank because it's afraid of what's out there. Do with that what you will. Audience, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC, Bermuda, Medical House Lenders, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.